are now trying to come after her for her bad faith account and probably trying to get her deplatformed, censored, silenced, suppressed, right? Well, if this doesn't tell you that there is a wave of influence, especially those that do not like it when you're critical of Israel, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. We have seen the censorship firsthand. Everybody's been talking about it. But first, I want to pull up this video in which she had an interview with Glenn Greenwald. So let's go ahead and first pull up this video and talk about it. So let's play it for everyone to see firsthand.
Now, interestingly, Briahna Joy Gray was not even the first person fired by The Hill for criticizing Israel. In October of 2022, Jacobin, the left-wing magazine, reported on a case of Katie Halper, who herself is a Jewish journalist. She had been also working for the same program where Briahna was fired from yesterday, called Rising. And there you see left-wing journalist Katie Halper has been fired for calling Israel an apartheid state. Are you allowed in the United States to call Israel an apartheid state? We've shown you many times before that in September of 2023, a month before the October 7th attack, the former head of the Mossad, appointed to that position by Benjamin Netanyahu in 2015, said that Israel had become an apartheid state because of the fact that they were about to be the minority rulers of a majority of Arabs, excuse the phrase, between the river and the sea. Now, speaking of between the river and the sea, I wrote an article back in here, by the way, from NBC News, was an article on CNN firing Mark Lamont Hill, their longtime commentator, and he was fired after his speech on Israel draws outrage. He essentially gave a speech in which he said that we think it's important that Palestinians be free from the river to the sea, and for that, yet another journalist, Mark Lamont Hill, an American journalist, was fired from his job for criticizing Israel in a way that people found offensive. And I've been writing.
Now, here's the thing. Nothing that that congressman said or reporters have said who have been critical of Israel have been anti-Semitic. They have been saying, hey, look, what's happening in Gaza and the West Bank is horrific. And Israel's an apartheid state. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but it is the actions that's happening right now. I mean, the evidence is abundantly clear. All of you have seen the videos on all of the social media platforms, on numerous independent media networks. We have seen the stories. We have seen the videos. We've seen the crimes. It's kind of understandable why you have people across the political spectrum, and yes, across the political spectrum, really calling to the actions of the Israeli government. But if you call it out, you're called anti-Semitic. Look what happened to Candace Owens. She's politically the opposite of Briahna Joy Gray. And she was censored and silenced by free speech warrior, supposedly, the man who talks super fast, Ben Shapiro. Talks super fast like this all the time. Facts don't care about your feelings. Well, you know, hey, listen, a lot of people have some facts and feelings, both added together, about what's happening, the crisis in Gaza. I mean, men, women, and children starving. No cookies for Gaza, right?
About this for so many years. Back in 2010, a longtime producer for CNN who covered the Mideast region for them, Octavia Nazar, was fired by CNN. It was a summary dismissal by CNN of a 20-year employee who had nothing but positive reviews. And the reason she got fired was because she expressed solidarity or positive sentiments for a mullah in Lebanon who had been linked to Hezbollah, simply saying essentially like my sentiments for people who knew him. He was very popular in Lebanon. And this is somebody that you're not allowed to criticize because he's deemed to be anti-Israel. And she was instantly fired from her job in journalism after 20 years. This is a pattern that goes back many, many, many years. And Briahna is only the latest example of someone who was fired from her.
She is. I mean, look, The Hill also has fired two other and great women reporters, commentators, Kim Iverson, Katie Halper. I mean, they have done some very good, groundbreaking stories on that platform. And now Briahna Joy Gray is one of many. And it's really disturbing because we talked about this maybe earlier last year, how somebody is trying to get Briahna Joy Gray fired from the Hill. And we pulled that video up. But what should concern all of you is the amount of censorship that we are seeing. I said it's going to get worse, especially during this election cycle. And because of this horrific war that's happening in Gaza, it's only getting worse. We have seen videos and live streams being taken down. We've seen people being censored, shadow banned, and silenced. If we are truly in a democracy where we respect the First Amendment, then the criticism of Israel must stand up there as well. But yet they're always the first ones to be removed. They're the first ones to be fired. And if you have a platform, oh, well, good luck because you're put on the chopping block. Let's go ahead and pull up this video here, and I'll play it for all of you.
But just to give a little context to this, I've definitely been noticing that you have been kind of ascending as a target by pro-Israel fanatics. I mean, they've been really going after you. You did this debate recently where it was very contentious, and the supposed neutral host, Konstantin Kizin, began attacking you in very vicious ways, calling you a DEI Barbie, and then pathetically and cowardly denying that he was referring in any way to your race.
Made.
Yeah, exactly. It could be your. Yeah. You should change your Twitter name to that. But clearly the fact that you are out there, that you do have this kind of platform in corporate media where you've been using it to be so vocal in your criticism of Israel, has really made you public enemy number one. But as you say, that really escalated when this very short snippet of an interview that you conducted with, I believe she's the sister of a hostage in Gaza. Is that correct? She's the sister of a hostage in Gaza. And it was at the very end of the interview, so there was no context to it, but they tried to claim that you were essentially mocking and rolling your eyes at a rape victim. Let's show this video that caused so much disturbance.
Thank you, me too. And I really hope that you specifically will believe women when they say that they got hurt.
All right, thanks for joining. Stick around, more Rising coming up next.
You know, this whole idea, again, look, believe women, right? I think it's important, yes. But how many times have we seen women who've called out Democratic lawmakers and quote unquote those on the left, when we have these women call them out, and yet, the Democrats and corporate media are quickly form a shield wall around the liberals and the Democratic politicians. We've had numerous women come forward and call out the great leaders of the Democratic Party and calling them out for their scandals, and they've been dismissed. Just want to throw that out there.
Now, Briahna, I honestly never knew that there were so many people on the right who embraced this phrase, believe women. But ever since October 7th, they've been kind of chanting and marching around with their fist in the air, chanting this like they're Gloria Steinem or something. I mean, before October 7th, the idea was, no, we don't believe women. We want to see evidence. And you can question the evidence. I guess that is yet another view that changed. But what happened there? Were you mocking and rolling your eyes at Israeli rape victims, or explain what it is that you were doing?
Of course not. And I am hesitant to give the Hill more clicks at this point, but I do encourage people to go and listen to the whole interview, because there's a couple of things. One is that this is not someone that the Hill reached out to. They weren't looking for a guest who was a family member of a hostage, or who gave the perspective of what those family members are going to. This person offered themselves up, and very specifically when making the request, said that they wanted to talk to me. And when our producer Joanne forwarded the request to me, I don't have the exact language in front of me, but immediately a red flag went up, because it seemed to me that this was someone who had a personal vendetta and agenda against me. And I was cautioning Joanne against having yet another person on that wanted to litigate what they found distasteful about my own personal political views in the context of a show where I, as a host, really don't have the opportunity to go back and forth. I have to, moderate a show, be gracious to the person who has come there. But when they sort of open the door to personal attacks, it upsets the balance in a way that I don't think is really appropriate for the show. But I was in a position where I was under a great deal of pressure, once again, to have balance in the coverage that was happening on the show, despite the fact that my radars were one of the only well-performing segments that were happening on the Hill at the time, because of the decline in viewership, that I was alluding to before. So throughout this interview, it was I think very fine. I think her perspective is valuable and necessary. We were talking about her sister, how hard it is for her to be separated from her. It was, a compelling story. But then she started to interject political claims into the narrative.
I've noticed that from the interview as well. And if you watch it in its full entirety, you could tell that this was kind of a thing that was forced. And as someone who conducts interviews, I mean, I reach out to people and having them on my show, and you usually have like an idea of where the conversation is going to go, especially when I'm talking to candidates who are running for office, be at the state level or federal level, like, hey, talk to us about your campaign, some of the issues you've been dealing with, etc. This is a different kind of interview that took place, and it's quite clear that it didn't go the way that I think the Hill wanted to go. And look, Briahna Joy Gray, she hosts her show, however which way she sees fit. But there was something off about it, especially with the guest as well.
She made an Islamophobic comment suggesting that there was going to be terrorism in Dearborn, Michigan, because I suppose it's the largest Arab American community, so we should be afraid of what might happen in Dearborn. She talked about the now well discredited mass rape hoax on October 7th. Suggesting that the Zaka organization that perpetuated many of those claims was credible, and that if I only had listened to Zaka, that I would understand what had happened on October 7th, and that her sister could be under similar threats of violence. And certainly it could be the case that her sister could be under threats of sexual violence. But she forced me, frankly, to push back against discredited false claims about events that did not happen on October 7th. And as I did that, she seemed to grow increasingly agitated. She would pivot between saying that she didn't want to talk about politics. And I said, okay, well, tell me about your sister. We'd love to hear about your sister. And then she would interject politics back into it. When I tried to ask her how she felt as the family of a hostage victim, about how Benjamin Netanyahu has been handling the return of the hostages, he has been protested, as you well know, in Israel for not prioritizing the return of the hostages, and instead saying that he wants to obliterate Hamas before thinking about agreeing to any of these ceasefire deals. She again pivoted away, said she's not a politician, doesn't know about politics. But then, of course, toward the end, increasingly tried to make it personal about me. I pushed back the little bit that you saw there at the end. And frankly, that eye roll and exasperation is more about the stupidity of my producer making the choice to have this guest on who very predictably was going to make it into a personal attack about me than about that woman herself. And I would point out that Hind Medzig and another guest, Israeli guest, or I think she was actually an Iranian Zionist guest, have done the exact same thing when they've come on, and then clipped the episodes afterward to launch very personal media attacks against me with the swarm of bots that we now know from reporting over the past week is coming directly from the Israeli government.
And we've seen this. A lot of people have talked about it. Due Dissidents, Jimmy Dore, Indie News Network. I mean, let's face it, there are bots in this day and age, social media, where, a wave of complaints can end somebody's podcast, somebody's show. I want to pull up this tweet right here because I said before that the censorship is going to get worse. I want to be wrong about this, and this isn't an exaggeration. This is going to impact all of us. I don't care where you stand politically. You step out of line, you're put on that chopping block. Look what happened to Candace Owens. She's the polar opposite of Briahna Joy Gray. And if that doesn't tell you that you should be concerned about, now to be clear, again, Candace Owens, Briahna Joy Gray, I do believe that they're going to land on their feet just fine, and they are. They're going to be fine. However, this right here, hundreds of Zionists have spammed the bad faith account, apparently thinking it's Patreon. These aren't intelligent people trying to get me deplatformed from the app. Again, a foreign country targeting an American journalist with the goal of making it impossible to earn an income if you criticize Israel. Look at all of this. The emails that you see right here. Concerns regarding Briahna Joy Gray's platform on Patreon. From all of these emails right here. This is censorship. This is a foreign government interfering with other content creators, with journalists and commentators and people who give analysis on politics. No matter where you stand politically, this should upset you. This should concern you, because now If we let's just say we appease this. Let's just say we go along with it. From here on out, tiptoe all over the eggshells. But oh wait, no. Not only are we tipping toe over eggshells now, we're tiptoeing over these landmines. You go out of line for 1 minute, 1 second. You become the bad guy. And these are numerous emails, probably from the same person, a bot. Just want to pull this up here as well. Another tweet from Briahna Jorge. My only source of income when I tweeted this was my podcast, Bad Faith, which was only a couple of months old at the time. I'd already been blacklisted after leaving the Bernie campaign, refusing to endorse Biden. As a former MSNBC host, Tiffany Cross tweeted at the time, "She'll never work in this town again. That's why I couldn't be fired. But now Zionists are targeting my Patreon, trying to get me kicked off the app. But I'm still here. Many thanks for your support." I despise censorship. I despise deplatforming and shadow banning because it's happened to Hard Lens Media. We know what it's like to be censored, terminated, deplatformed, shadow banned, demonetized. I don't wish that on anybody. Hell, if none of this stuff ever happened, I would like to say, maybe with a lot of pride and ego, that Hard Lens Media would be a far more bigger platform. But oh no, a lot of our colleagues in independent media are still being censored. Look at what happened to the Convo Couch. Look at what's happening to INN, Indie News Network. They got a great team of people there, and they themselves are also being censored. But it's also happened to larger platforms. Look what's happened to the Jimmy Dore show. It's been censored before. Due Dissidents, they've been censored. Sabby's show, RBN, everybody. And I'm against what is happening towards Briahna Joy Gray. And this tells you what kind of environment we have in corporate media. It is owned. And everybody who owns our politicians also controls our media. And they, in turn, with all the laws that Congress is writing to favor censorship, are going after people that have a different viewpoint. It's not only the neoliberal agenda, but if you go up against any corporate donor, big pharma, or either that, a foreign government, remember, anybody can buy a politician, you're done for. And as we have learned, Democratic politicians and Republican politicians also have babysitters. They got the babysitters, APAC babysitters. Why do you think they're writing rules and legislation to favor more censorship? Why do you think they went after TikTok? Why do you think they're still going after all these other social media platforms that are challenging the narrative? We need to respect the First Amendment, free speech, a free press. Otherwise, we have nothing. Is this something that the American people want to stand for? No matter where you stand, whether you like Briahna Joy Gray or not, her getting fired and all these people coming after her is just scratching the surface of the overall environment that we have right now here in the United States. The censorship is all too real, and we all must stand against it, because right now, we give it up. It is never coming back again. Censorship must be opposed. Censorship is never the answer. Deplatforming is never the answer. You want to win in the debate of ideas, and you must debate and look at things with a different perspective and point of view and understand where people are coming from. But what this should also tell you is that with this massive wave of censorship, with the people being deplatformed and censored and silenced, this is the last desperate push by those who've realized that they've lost the narrative. They can never, ever go back to how it used to be, because we see it how it's being played out. Stand against censorship and stand against those that want to silence critical voices. And we invite Briahna Joy Gray to be on our show to talk about this issue. I know that she's recently been on Due Dissidents. They had an interview with her as well. Fantastic, because more people need to know about this. More people need to be talking about the censorship. Stand for free speech or we lose it.